lot of parallels between 25 and 24, because 24, we found a new amount after an increase. 25, we're finding a new amount after a decrease. So it's essentially just the opposite thing. So like we started with 24, we've got 3 situations here, and I'm going to show you 2 methods to find it. Again, just like CO24. One of them involves setting up a proportion. The other involves finding a new total directly. Okay? So last week you talked on the phone for 200 minutes. You want to decrease that by 30%. Yes?
You gave me the wrong math packet. I have a pre-algebra one.
When did I give you a math packet?
Last
Oh.
when you gave me the other one.
Well, I'm all fresh out of algebra.
That's okay.
So I will have to print out another one for you. My MB. The original price for the video game was 80 bucks. This week it's on sale for 75% off. How much is the video game after the discount? As goalie of your hockey team, you gave up 3.7 goals per game last season. This season your goal is to decrease that by 24%. What is your goal for the number of goals you give up per game? So, as we saw in CO24, there are a couple different ways that we can solve these. Like I said, the first one involves a proportion, and the second one gets you that new total directly. Okay? I already forgot what the first situation was. 200 minutes decreased by 30%. So, we want to decrease 200 by 30%. Okay? And just like we did in CO24, what proportion can we set up for this? Because we want to find what 30% of 200 is, right? We're not decreasing 200 by 30, it's not going to be 170, we're decreasing by 30%. So that proportion we can set up. Fractions, okay, so 30% as a fraction would be what? What's that? What would 30% be as a fraction? 30 over 100 equals n over 200, right? Exactly the same setup as we did in CO24, because we start the same way. We want to figure out what this amount is. This one's got a nice little scale factor, doesn't it? Right? 100 times 2 is 200. So 30 times 2, n will equal 60. Okay? Now in CO24, when we increased, we would add that 60 to 200, right? But now that we're doing a decrease, what are we going to do with that 60?
Subtract it.
Subtract it. Okay? We want to decrease the 200 by 30%. 30% is 60, and 200 minus 60 gives us 140. So like I said, the connections with 24, everything's the same until this final step, where instead of increasing it and adding, you decrease it by subtracting. Okay? Let's do the video game one next. It was what? How much was it? 80 bucks and 75% off? What a deal, okay? So, we want to decrease 80 by 75%. Go ahead and try this one. Set up the proportion, find the amount, and then decrease, subtract from the original. So your proportion, 75% as a fraction, 75 over 100. You want to figure out how much of 80 that is, right? So 75 over 100 is what out of 80? This one's scale factor not quite as clean, so cross products might be the method that you want to use here, which 75 times 80 divided by 100, what does n end up equaling? 60 again? Well, that's quite a quinky dink. Okay? So then what did you do with that? 60. Jimena.
80 minus 60.
Right, we're decreasing, right? 80 minus 60, that video game is going to cost you 20 bucks. Okay? If you are someone who likes that formula, finding the new total directly, okay? There's a formula for this one too, and it's almost exactly the same. It's the original times 100%, but in this case, because we're decreasing, what do you think our operation is? Subtraction, right? We're taking a percentage away from 100%. Okay? Almost the exact same formula. In 24, you would add the increase to 100%. Now that we're decreasing, you're going to subtract that from 100%. So, for this example here, our original is 200, and we're multiplying that by 100% minus 30%, because we're taking 30% away from 200. 100% minus 30% gives us 70%. So what are you going to put in your calculator to find 200 times 70%?
200 times
0.7 or 0.70? Yeah. And this will give you 140 directly. Okay? Because if there was no discount, if we weren't decreasing anything, it'd still be 100%. We're taking 30% away, leaving 70% left. And that's why this formula works. 30% away from 100% leaves 70% left. And so finding 70% of 200 gets us that new total directly. Okay? So for the second one, decreasing 80 by 75%, our original is 80. We're subtracting 75% because we're decreasing. And if you take 75% away from something, what percent is left? You start with 100%, you take 75% away, what percent is left? 25%, right? So 80 times 25%, or 80 times 0.25 is going to give us that 20 answer directly. Okay? Pick one of those, do the hockey question. 3.7 is where you start, that's your original. Don't be afraid it's a decimal. It doesn't really change anything here. The proportion, you still use cross products. The formula, it's still the original, okay? But 3.7, and you're decreasing that by 24%. Give it a go. And once you do one method, give the other one a shot if you want to. Decrease 3.7 by 24%. That is our goal. That is our goal. Check your answer with the neighbor. Make sure you got it. Starting this one out, 24% is a fraction. 24 over 100, right? Equals how much? Over 3.7. Cross products definitely for this one. The scale factor between 100 and 3.7 is nasty, okay? What do you get for n here? 24 times 3.7 divided by 100, yeah? $888, try that one again. Make sure you're putting 3.7 in there. Shimena?
0.8.
0.88? I think, yeah. I think you just forgot the decimal and then did divide by 100. Okay? So 0.88. Do I have a second on that one? Yeah? Yeah. 888 didn't really make a whole lot of sense. It's way too big of a number for our situation here. Like you couldn't decrease a 3.7 goals against average by 888, you know? So 0.88 though, that makes a lot more sense. So now, since we're decreasing, 3.7 minus 0.88, and what does that end up giving us? What's your goal for your goals against average for this season? .7 minus 0.88, not going to be 64. Claire? Good, yeah, 2.82 is what you should have gotten here. If you didn't, take a look at your work, compare with mine. If you're like, mine looks exactly the same, why did I get the wrong answer? Ask me a question. Good? All right. If you did the new total directly, this formula, our original is 3.7, and we're multiplying that by 100% minus 24%, because we want to decrease it by 24%, okay? If you take 24% away from 100%, what percent is left? 76%. So you multiply 3.7 by 76%, or 3.7 times 0.76, and lo and behold, you get the same 2.82 answer that we got over here, okay? So if you like that formula thing, it's pretty nifty, right? You just got to remember, for an increase, CO24, you're adding the percent, so you're multiplying by something greater than 1. If you're decreasing, you're subtracting it from 100%, and you're multiplying by something less than 1, right? Because multiplying by something greater than 1 will increase the value. Multiply by something less than 1 will decrease the value, which in this case is what we want to do, okay? Questions on these notes? No? All right. So you have like a half hour to work on some practice with this stuff on CO25. We start with, you can use either method that you want to. Answer each question here. Don't worry about tax, okay? But the original price of the CD is $12, but it's on sale for 15% off. Very similar to the video game question, right? Setup's the same. You have an original price. There's a discount, okay? How much will you pay for the CD? You buy 3 20-ounce bottles of pop for $1.80 each. You have a coupon for 5% off your total purchase. You pay with a 10. What is your change? So kind of multiple steps here, but still you're decreasing by an amount. Then we have our Packer quarterbacks. This time, original price, and then a discount. Okay, just practice with this. What is the final price? Here, decreasing a total by an amount very similar to the CO24, right? Same kind of setup here. And then you can skip the word problem just like we did on CO24, and then some review again at the bottom. So, all of this page due tomorrow. You've got a little bit less than a half hour to work on it now. Math packet's due today as well, so if you need to finish that up, you've got time for that. But in the spirit of Christmas, I will go over any of these that you'd like to. Are there any that you'd like me to do and us do together? Yes, Layla. The bottom one. All right. You buy 3 20-ounce bottles of pop for $1.80 each. $1.80 each. How much are you actually paying for the 3 bottles of pop if they're $1.80 each? $5.40, right? Because you've got to multiply this 180 by 3 because you're buying 3 of them. Okay? So $5.40. Now you've got a coupon for 5% off. Right? So we end up decreasing $5.40 by 5%. Okay? That's what has to happen now. That's what a coupon does. It lowers the price, right? It takes 5% off. So whether you set up a proportion or whether you use the new total directly, Layla, which method do you prefer? The fraction? Okay. So 5% gets written in fraction form, right? 5 over 100 equals how much are we going to take away from the $5.40 price? Okay, 5 over 100 equals what over 540? Cross products is going to be the method to use here. And someone with the quick maths, what do we end up decreasing? 0.27, good. So the discount is 0.27, right, or 27 cents, okay? So we go back to our original 540 here. We're subtracting 27 cents away from that. That's the 5% that we get off. And total, we're paying $5.13 for these 3 balls of pop. Okay? If you prefer the, we're not done yet, right? The question is, what is the change? So if you pay with a 10, if the price is $5.13, you pay with a 10, the last step would be to subtract 5.13 from 10. And quick maths here, what is the change? $4.87 is correct. So this, we'll box it twice because that's right. There's your final answer, $4.87. If you use the formula, your original, that 540 times 100% minus 5%, and if you take 5% away from something, what percent is left? 95%, okay? So you end up multiplying 540 by 95%, or 540 times 0.95, and that ends up with 5.13, which you then go back and subtract from 10 for 47 as the final answer. Okay. So both methods work great. This one is a little bit more mental, and then if you can subtract 5 from 100 on your own, you can just multiply 540 times 0.95. You don't have to write out all these other steps here. This one, you do kind of got to set up the proportion because the cross products, to be able to see it. But there you have it. Okay. All right, we're going to end the recording. I'll walk around, see how people are doing, answer questions for that. Get you your new math packet ready to go. I got to staple those up, but we'll get that taken care of. So, in the meantime, this is due for tomorrow. You got 24 minutes to work. That is how you math. Don't forget to like and subscribe.